Today is the unofficial beginning of the free agency period in the NFL as moves are beginning to be leaked. In fact, I expect we'll have several breaking news events throughout the live show this morning. What about the Saints? Will they lose two key players sometime today or this week? Did Delonte Taylor already say goodbye? Demario Davis isn't hardly saying anything. Is that a sign? What will those two players do, and how will that affect the Saints draft? We'll spend a chunk of the morning talking about that and all the moves around the league. We'll have breaking news alerts. Oh, and of course, we'll spend the time talking about Chicken Little and the LSU baseball Tigers, who have now lost 4 of their last 5. Is there foreshadowing into the mini collapse this weekend against Sacramento State, or is the sky still intact and we're overanalyzing this thing? And let's have this fun this morning with a debut of a segment called Dat Date in History, where we pick a random year from the sky, the side that isn't falling, and see if anything important happened in the sports world, either here in New Orleans or on the national scene. So much fun to cram into 90 minutes. It means it's time for me to stop rambling and get this show on the road. Okay, let's do it. The Dattitude podcast, it starts now.
Ready to hear the straight scoop on local and national sports? It's time for Jim Derry's take on the Saints, LSU, what betting lines to ponder, and more. He's got opinions, he's got insight, and he's got Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where are you at, Dattitude family? I can finally talk for 3 minutes without coughing. So at least there's one thing positive to say here on Dattitude, episode number 481, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, March the 9th, 2026. In case you're new here, you might not know who I am. You probably do. But if you don't, I'm your host, Jim Derry, 35 and a half years in the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you so much for spending part of your day, which should be a very busy morning here on Dad. Who knows how long? I said 90 minutes earlier. Who knows? It might be 2 hours. It might be an hour. I have no idea how long today's show is going to be. It kind of depends a lot on you, because you know what we do here. You comment, we talk back. That's how it works. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, type away and we will get to you in just a moment, because we have a lot to talk about here on this show. Oh, breaking news. Gabe's going to be on the ticker this morning. So when something's breaking, he's going to type it in. And this is big news for a lot of Saints fans. Alec Pierce is re-signing with the Colts for $116 million over 4 years, according to Adam Schefter. And I will say this, that it was probably unlikely that he was going to come here. Again, we're going to get into all sorts of, again, this is going to be flowing. I did not expect breaking news right when I came on the air this morning. Good job, Gabe. So that's kind of what all this is going on. Chris Olave, he's going to sign a similar kind of deal, probably a little bit more than that. I'm expecting 4 years, maybe, I don't know. What do we think? 120? No, it's about 116, 120, somewhere around. Olave is going to get about the same amount of money. Okay. And do we see the Saints signing 2 guys, 4 years, that kind of deal? No. So it was kind of a pipe dream that they were going to get Alec Pierce anyway. But there you go. It's off the table now. According to Adam Schefter, Alec Pierce is going back to Indianapolis, and they are excited, I'm sure. So we got all kinds of stuff on the show this morning. As I said, as you just saw, Gabe Henderson is in the background. He will be on the show later on to do our when we're going to finish the show with Dat Date, our new segment coming up. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. This date, a randomizer picked the date. Okay, that's how we're doing this. Some year between 1950 and 2025, and I just asked the randomizer to give me a year. And I go back, I get the front page of the Times-Picayune, I tell you what happened in New Orleans that date, and then we have kind of a trivia segment with Gabe where I ask some weird questions. What happened nationally on this date, March 9th, back in not just 1983, but what happened on March 9th, some big events that happened on March 9th. I'll tell you what happened nationally, and then I'll ask it trivia-wise. Y'all can join in the fun. Like I said, just type in whatever you want to type in on YouTube or Facebook. We'll show it. Before we get to that, I like to share some of my personal business. First off, I want to say this. Those in and around the New Orleans area know this, and if you're, most of you, a lot of you are Saints fans here. That's what you hear. A lot of you are expats. You used to live in New Orleans. You don't anymore. But if you live in and around the city, thoughts out to all the people who live around the Carrollton area who had the water main break this morning. There was a huge water main break. Houses were flooded. Excuse me. In and around the Carrollton area. And we see how this goes. Another issue with the Sewage and Water Board in New Orleans. Look, I have so many high hopes for Helena Moreno and that she can clean things up in the city, but it's just gone neglected for so long. I mean, we had 8 years of just no one running the ship. I mean, y'all know, I'm not going to get into politics, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So Helena Moreno's got a lot to do today. Not today, but a lot to do over the course of the next 4 years, and she's trying to get started. And it's an interesting day because I think the head of the Sewage and Water Board is in Washington, D.C. to try to let everybody know what we need. We need help here in New Orleans, and so that's happening today. Along with, I think Helena Moreno is going to the state legislature today. So a lot going on in the city, and it just so happens that huge water main breaks. Again, a lot of people lost whatever was in there. I mean, we're talking about feet of water in people's homes in the Carrollton area. So before we get started with that, some things going on with what I do over the weekend. I tell you what, it was nice to get out of bed because I was as most of y'all know, except for doing the show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I pretty much spent most of last week in bed. I had a pretty interesting weekend. My wife was in Mexico for a work trip. And she got her connecting flight coming back from yesterday. She landed in Dallas at like 2 p.m. Her connecting flight was supposed to come back at 6, got delayed multiple times and then canceled. And so she had to spend the night in Dallas, got a hotel room, and I think slept for like 3 hours. She's finally on her way home. Nightmare weekend for her. I did get to spend a lot of time with the girls, and we had some fun. We went to City Park this weekend for an event. A shout out to Gretna number 2 Elementary. My good friend Sandy Newsham is the principal there, and she invited me and my girls to an event they had at City Park where we got to go. And I hadn't ridden the train at City Park in years. And look, let me just say, I got to relive my youth because it was a lot of fun going back in time, and that's what I felt like I was doing. So the girls got to do all the rides. I watched them have a lot of fun. City Park was great, and that's how we spent our weekend. And again, shout out to the great people over at Gretna number 2 Elementary because they invited it. We had an absolute blast. All right, getting to what's going on today. Okay, all sorts of things go. We're going to get to the Saints news in a minute. I'm going to get to your comments. We're going to talk about all the breaking news. Some of y'all may have not seen what happened this morning. I'm going to start off with this, and then I'm going to tell you about our friends before we talk about the Saints. So we're going to kind of intertwine what's happening nationally along with what potentially can happen with the Saints. Again, you type in your comment. We will show it here, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Also, a reminder, we would love it if you would subscribe to the Dattitude podcast. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time. You can always catch us after the fact. Click the little bell, receive notifications when we go in the air live. If you can't watch us live, obviously you can find us on demand wherever you get your audio podcasts as well. We're all on all the major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and the like. And if you watch us for a while and you say, you know what, I like this show, we would love it. If you want to support this show financially, just a couple bucks a month. It's not a whole lot. You also get a membership if you want to become a member of the Dat family. And you get access to our Slack messaging channel as well. All right, let's get on with the show this morning. Before I tell you about my friends, some more breaking news this morning. If you didn't see it, it happened a couple hours ago now, but there's going to be a lot of those. The Dolphins are releasing Tua Tagovailoa with a post-June 1 cut. Now, some interesting moves that you may not have seen. The latest news over the course of the last, half an hour or so. Did you see who might be interested in signing Tua? How about the rival Atlanta Falcons? Is a team ever? Excuse me. Pardon me. I'm getting verklempt. I knew it would happen. I'm almost well, I promise. I'm getting there. Pardon me. See, I talk about how much dead cap money the Falcons are going to have to eat. The Dolphins are going to have to eat. And I get verklempt. Just looking at this number makes me choke. $99.2 million in dead cap money. Can you believe that? That's how much the Dolphins are going to have to eat. $99.2 million. $66.7 million this year. $32.5 million next year. And I called up a quote. I found this quote interesting from Tua. It was in The Athletic this morning. I don't know when he said this, but this is a quote from Tua again in The Athletic. And it says, quote, well, to put it in the simplest terms, if you woke up every morning and I told you, quote, you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, and that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this. And then you have somebody else come in, Mike McDaniel, and tell you, dude, you are the best fit for this. Like, you are accurate. You are the best whatever. You are this, you are that. How would it make you feel listening to one or the other? Interesting. It's got to be an interesting time for Tua, and I don't know what's going to happen with him. Again, there's rumor. The rumor mill is out there that the Falcons are interested in. Speaking of the Falcons, Olamide Zaccheaus is going back to the Falcons. They need some wide receiver help, so he's leaving the Bears, going back to the Falcons, which is where he spent most of his career. But let me get to this Tua note that I saw earlier. According to Schefter, the Falcons are expected to pursue Tua in free agency. Sources tell Schefter. They enter the offseason, blah, 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 now with Michael Penix recovering from an ACL and Cousins set to be released. So, it's an interesting move. How many teams have had two left-handed quarterbacks, which is where I was going to get? I don't know. Absolutely could see it, and why it makes sense for any team, really, that needs another quarterback. Tua's going to get signed because the Dolphins are on the hook for that money. And basically, any team that wants to sign him now, because they couldn't find a trade partner, he gets to be signed for basically the league minimum, which then would come off of the Dolphins. So a couple $1 million. They could sign Tua. 1.4? Is that 1.4? 1.3. That minimum, 1.3 million. So, and then the Dolphins would be on the hook for the rest of it. So, man, just crazy times. That's going to be part of what is crazy about the next few days. Now, the official signing period, I don't think they could sign until Wednesday, right, Gabe? They can't sign until Wednesday, but they can announce the moves beginning now. It started at 11 o'clock this morning, which just so happened to work out for us. It is going to be an interesting morning. We got some other news as well, but I tell you what, let me tell you about our friends first as we get going here. We got to get rolling with big news, and we'll talk about Alontae Taylor and Demario Davis this morning. Before we get to the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. They're always here. They don't have free agency. They're not going anywhere. Evangeline Securities, they don't have a free agency period. They're always here for you. They're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held businesses. Just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If it's you, someone you know, someone you love, someone you want to help, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. He will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from his office, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. From there, you'll be well informed and begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? We'll fill you in more later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. You can also check out our friend, Joe DiStefano.
If you own a small business of fewer than 20 employees, you know how tough it is to get the best rates on health insurance. That's why you want to call Joe DiStefano Insurance. Joe and I have known each other for almost 40 years. I can tell you that he's someone that I trust. Look, health insurance shouldn't be one size fits all, and with Joe DiStefano, you get access to PPO networks and flexible plans designed to fit you, not just a cookie cutter mold. Joe's licensed, he's local, but he can help you no matter where you live and operate. From preventative care to peace of mind, we'll tailor a plan that works for your life today and tomorrow. Call Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132 to protect what matters most.
All right, let's get on with the show this morning. What we got going on here? Earl's Picks, thank you so much for the donation, the $5 super sticker. We always appreciate Earl's Picks, who is also a member of the Dad family. In fact, while we do this, let's show you our members. Lance became our latest member on Friday. We would love it if you would like to support the channel. We would appreciate it very, very much. Gabe Henderson tells me the Colts are working with Daniel Jones on a multi-year extension. There you go. Multi-year. Again, this is going to happen all morning long. So thanks to Earl and everybody else. Let's get to the comments. What we got this morning? UBN's here. Happy Monday. Now that LSU's baseball. Oh, Lord. Dumbass Jones alert. Dumbass alert. Come on, man. Do we have to be a jackass this early in the morning? I'm just going to say. Speaking of morning, what do y'all think about this time change thing? Not that I'm going to get off on a tangent. I wish it would stay like this, but I tell you what, it sure is weird when you bring your kids to school and it's dark. Pitch black dark, as a matter of fact. Anyway, I wish it would move back 2 hours and stay light until, 8, 9 o'clock at night. That's just me. Phil Marianti, good morning. How about Tulane baseball? Living in Texas, we don't get a whole lot of Tulane news. I thought about that, Phil, and I saw that what did they end up doing with TCU? I know they had a doubleheader and they won the first game. Tulane, TCU baseball. Let's see what happened here. Oh, well, that didn't give me what I wanted. Here is my box score. Tulane won the first game 8-4. And I think they are 9-7 now. Yeah, they are 9-7. Then they lost the second game 4-3. So they split with TCU. I think let's see. Let me get their schedule here and let me tell you exactly. They are 9-7. And what's coming up for the Wave? Because we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the Wave, but they lost 2 out of 3. So they won. They did salvage one. They won the second game again, doubleheader yesterday. They got Mississippi State on Tuesday night in Biloxi. Wow, they're going to play where the Shuckers play. That ought to be interesting. Hey, if you're looking for something to do, you're around the New Orleans area, you're in the Mississippi Gulf Coast, that would probably be a lot of fun. Creighton, who's playing LSU on Tuesday, has got a 3-game set at Turchin against the Wave this coming weekend. So there you go. The Green Wave are 9-7. Phil. Hope that worked out for you. Good morning. Rocks here. Dat Nation. Robert Campbell. Who dat? Jerry, let the tampering begin, baby. That's right. We got tampering going on. It's actually not tampering. They can actually do it now. Yeah, UBN, it's a possibility. 2 out of the Falcons. It's very, very possible. I know you got the Fleur-de-Lis up there. Jody Alexander's here. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Charles Mangus, good morning. Let the chaos begin. Let's hope it goes well for us. Sorry, I know y'all hate that cough. I'm trying not to cough into the mic. Cannon, what's up? Good morning. Dylan Smith is here. Charles says, glad I'm feeling better, that you're still feeling like crap. Hey, man, this thing, it is nothing to play with. I mean, I got sick, started on a week ago Saturday. And look, I'm feeling better, but I'm still probably like 60%. I'm able to get out of bed and do stuff, but I mean, this is nothing to play with. And I know I'm not the only one who's got this mess. It's getting there. We're getting there, though. If I could sleep for longer than 2 hours at a time, I would really appreciate it. Hopefully that's next on my list because I haven't got a whole lot of sleep the last week. Mark Gapsey, good morning. Bring back Caden Ellis and sign David Edwards and Alec Pierce. Well, they're not going to sign Alec Pierce because he's gone. I know you probably put that up before we had the breaking news, but I don't think they're going to sign Caden Ellis. David Edwards is a possibility. We'll see. Apathy, actual news in the football world finally happens this week. There's no doubt about it, Apathy. It's so good to be back. Oh, there you go. Is that breaking news? I didn't see that. Gabe? That's not breaking news? I did not see that. According to Gabe, Edwards re-signed with the Bills. I haven't seen that anywhere. I take your word for it, but I'm looking at you. You can type it in the chat there. I did not see that. Well, that'll change some things. Let's see. Gabe also says just saw an article on it. Oh, okay. Appears the article is lying. Yeah, let's be careful where we source our stuff, unless it's the big guys. I have not seen that anywhere. In fact, I kind of saw the opposite. Some things that I was reading over the weekend from people that I do trust. Looked to me like Edwards was pretty close to gone. Again, we don't know anything. I mean, that'll play itself out. I mean, we don't know the answer to that or not, but I think that I think David Edwards is going to be. That doesn't necessarily mean that he would be coming here. I think he's going to be a top target for sure. Steelers are re-signing veteran linebacker Cole Holcomb to a 2-year, $5 million deal. That's definitely not working. A breaking news note. The Patriots are signing veteran edge rusher Draymond Jones to a 3-year, $39.5 million deal. Will the Saints be interested in a veteran edge rusher? Possible. It'd be possible. You know, Rocky, I can't agree with you, man. It would be par for the course, he says. Atlanta typical idiotic moves. I actually think that would be a great move for Atlanta. To be able to sign Tua for the league minimum and let the Dolphins pay their salary. I think that's a no-lose situation for the Falcons if that's what they decide to do. I'm telling you, it's a whole different world right now for the Falcons. Kevin Stefanski is helping you. Oh, Gabe Henderson's making a huge face. I think we got breaking news coming up. It's coming up. I don't know what it's going to be. Brian says, good morning. Will Tua and Murray... breaking news. You know, I saw something about this morning. And here we go. If you had any visions of sugar plums in your head of Kenneth Walker signing with the Saints, you can delete them. I saw something alluding to this morning, and now Tom Pelissero is reporting that former Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker is signing with the Chiefs. So the Chiefs have done it. You can leave that breaking news. Leave that up for a second, Gabe. No, because I'm going to talk about that for a minute. Yeah, you know, I talked about this on Friday. I hadn't realized how much space the Chiefs had freed up over the course of the last week and a half or so. And that seems to really be paying off. And when they did that, this is good news, bad news. The good news, obviously, is that, well, I'll say the bad news first. The bad news is, obviously, I say obviously. How many times am I going to say obviously? Well, that's about 4. Let's make it 5. Obviously, the Saints will not be able to sign Kenneth Walker, who, was he a pipe dream for the Saints to get? Probably. But you know how some of y'all were pipe dreaming about Alec Pierce? I was pipe dreaming about Kenneth Walker. I mean, he would have looked fantastic in black and gold. The good news, if there is any, is that the Chiefs probably, not necessarily, and I know everybody's saying Jeremiah Love's never going to make it to 8. I don't necessarily believe that. But it probably would stop the Chiefs from jumping ahead of the Saints. You know how we talk about one of the scenarios, the Chiefs jumping out of the Saints to get Jeremiah Love? I would think that's off the table now since they're spinning. So that's the good news. Anyway, breaking news this morning. Thank you for that, Gabe. Seahawks running back, well, now Chiefs running back, Kenneth Walker is going to sign in Kansas City. And let me tell you something. When's the last time the Chiefs have had a real running back? Look, I like Isaiah Pacheco as much as anybody. But when's the last time they had a real running back? I mean, a real running back. I don't know the answer to that. To go back a ways. Let me go back and show this comments as I go through some of the comments here this morning. Will Tua and Murray be a precautionary tale to not draft under 6-foot quarterbacks so high? I still think Tua is a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. His problem is not so much. We can't tell how much the concussions have taken their toll. But again, if you're the Falcons and you can sign a guy like Tua for the league minimum, $1.3 million, and let the Dolphins be on the hook for the rest of his cap and the rest of his salary, which by the way is $50-some-odd million. Let's see what I wrote it here. The Dolphins. Okay, let's say the Falcons sign him. The Dolphins would still have to, I'm not talking about the cap money that they got to take a hit on. The salary that the Dolphins are still going to have to pay would be $52.7 million. They would still have to pay him $52.7 million. That's why a lot of people have, I think the Dolphins over under right now is 4.5. Not good. My friend Shane Bergeron is here. I didn't really need to stop smoking a pack a day, LOL. My friend, I stopped smoking 3 years ago. I should have stopped 27 years ago when I started. He says he thinks Kamara is gone, Davis is gone, Jordan is gone. Team needs to get younger. That's the trajectory. I disagree, my friend. I don't disagree with the part that they need to get younger. I disagree with Kamara being gone. I don't think Kamara is gone. If you were here Friday, you saw us talk about them restructuring his contract. There's almost no advantage to cutting him now. Now that they have restructured his contract, they don't gain anything by cutting him. So, the only reason why you would cut him is if he doesn't want to play or if you just want the roster spot, and I don't see that happening. So, Kamara is going to be here. You would love to pair him with a Jeremiah Love type and have Devin Neal in the background. I think a lot of things change. If you go get a David Edwards type, not necessarily David Edwards, you go get your guard, you find a way to get Jeremiah Love in the draft. Alvin Kamara can mentor both he and Devin Neal. Things change in a hurry. Dylan Smith says a lot of SEC. That's right. Dylan, you are correct. Florida lost to, I got to go. I meant to do me a favor. Gabe, can you find the SEC teams did awful this weekend, and I meant to put that together, and I completely forgot. High Point beat Florida 2 out of 3, and it would have been a sweep. Florida was down by 3 going in the ninth, and they scored 4 runs in the ninth. So look, I'm just saying, we're gonna get to LSU later on. I promise you. In fact, you know what? Let's put the Saints slide up this morning, because we're going to be talking about free agents here for at least the next 40 to 50 minutes before I get to LSU. So again, if you just joined us, what we have coming up this morning, we're going to give you breaking news as it goes along. We just told you that Kenneth Walker is headed to the Kansas City Chiefs, which takes him off the table, obviously, for the Saints. We will talk about the Saints. We'll go through your comments. Feel free. If you want to comment, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook, if you're new to the show, doesn't matter if this is your first time watching and you've been here for 481 episodes, type in your comment, and we'd love to, especially if you're new. We would love to have you if you're new. Just say hello if you want. But Dylan, going back to what you were saying, you think the Tigers are fine. We're going to tell you some of the other SEC teams that had really bad weekends. It wasn't just LSU. Vanderbilt lost the series as well. So anyway. Let's see. Phil says, got to have Edwards from Buffalo. It would be nice. UBN wants to talk golf. Sorry, my friend. I don't think we're going to be talking much golf this week. I love the Players Championship. It's my favorite tournament. It is. It's my favorite tournament, but we're probably not going to be talking about that this week. Sean, what do I think the Saints' first move will be, if any, today? Today, I don't think they're going to make a move today. We'll see. I don't know. It's kind of to see how these things go. I don't know if anything's going to happen today. Yeah, Brian, I wasn't going to say anything. I thought Tua was solid in 6 feet. Says he's 6'1". Doesn't look. I think he does. I think he's 6'1". Earl, this is a rumor, but it could be Trent Williams leaving San Francisco, which is surprising. I think UBN was talking about that last week. Ron Hendrickson, good morning. Feeling better, sounding better, bracing for the chaos. Yeah, I am feeling better. And I hope I sound better. I'm getting sick of sounding like I'm on death's door. Phil Mariani said the Jets should be looking at Tua and Kyler Murray. It's that breaking news. Cade Otton, tight end Cade Otton, re-signing with the Buccaneers, according to Ian Rappaport. That's not a big surprise, I guess. But there you go. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Saints probably weren't in the market for a Cade Otton. Anyway, Phil, yeah, maybe Kyler Murray. I could see him being a Jet. Absolutely. Rocky, I mean, I hear what you're saying about Tua coming in with huge risk, but you really don't have a risk if you sign up for the league minimum. There's really no risk. Oh, boy. Hold on. Our newest member, Lance, is here. Yep. He's screaming for Linderbaum again. Ain't happening. It ain't happening. Sorry, my cough button is not working. I'm trying to move the mic out of the way when I got a cough. Hope it's not too bad. Let's see. Earl's Picks says Jamal Williams was the last. Jamal Williams? No. Tell me the last real running back to Kansas City had, Gabe. When you get a second. I'm asking a lot of you. Lance says he's praying that Tua goes to Atlanta. I'm telling you right now, I don't know what y'all watch. Jamal Charles, right? I'm like, yeah, no. What do y'all see? Why are y'all hating on Tua so much? He did have a bad year last year. There's no doubt about it. I mean, but part of it is the Dolphins were just a flat out mess. Just my opinion. Brian Cabot says, don't misread his question. Tua is a good mid quarterback for $1.3 million. He'd sign him in Army. Exactly. I mean, I'm not talking about you ragging on him. I'm just saying. I mean, you're basically getting him for free. Brian, he brought it up. I didn't bring it up, Lance. He brought up the DC word. You know, it's funny you talk about him because as we talk a little bit about kind of get into the Saints today, and we're going to have more breaking news. I got more comments to show you, but you know, one question when you're talking about the Saints, did Alontae Taylor, and this came after we had our show on Friday. And so this was on X on Friday, and obviously would have brought this up if it would have happened during the show. But did Alontae Taylor say goodbye to the Saints? If you go on the X machine, he said, quote, New Orleans, thank you for letting me shine in the Big Easy. That sure sounds like a goodbye, isn't it? Lots of predictions that I've been seeing have Alontae Taylor going to the Cowboys. Is this something that you're upset about? I mean, when you talk about Saints key free agents, and we got them on the screen here, these are just 5 of, you know, there are probably, I think there are 17 free agents. And these are the 5 biggest, in my opinion. You could make an argument that Luke Fortner is just as important as the top 3. But when you talk about the 3 that obviously are the big 3 that we're talking about, they're all defense. I mean, obviously. Linebacker, I don't know. That must be the word of the day, by the way. I'm sorry. I keep using the word obviously. Sometimes I'll go back. I don't often go back and listen to the show after, except when I'm going to try to find clips to cut out. But every now and then I do. And apparently I said the other day, I must have said okay like 58 times. So today's word is obviously. I start doing Gabe, you could start doing a tick mark on me every time I say obviously and tell me how many times I said it at the end. But Alontae Taylor, what kind of money is he going to get? I think he's going to get too much for the Saints to even really consider bringing him back. And you go through some of his numbers, and I got to be honest, when I started doing some digging, maybe he's not, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on Alontae Taylor. Don't get me wrong. The Saints need a corner. I mean, they're going to need a corner, whether they do it in the draft, whether they do it in free agency, however they do it, there's no question they're going to need some more help in the defensive backfield. I mean, Alontae Taylor's all but saying he's not coming back. He knows he's not coming back. Maybe the Saints have already kind of told him. you know, you're not coming back. Or maybe they made an offer to him that was like, whatever. But you start going through some of these numbers. And I know interceptions isn't the biggest deal in the world, but 4 interceptions in 4 seasons for a corner? I don't know, man. 64 games played, 53 started. So in 53 games he started, he's had 4 interceptions. You look at the completion percentage again when thrown at him. Now, in total in his 4 seasons, this isn't a terrible number, but for an elite cover corner, we're supposed to be elite. 60.8% of the passes thrown at him have been completed. However, that being said, last year was a career worst. This number is alarming to me. This is an alarming number. 68.1% of the passes that were thrown in Alontae Taylor's direction were completed. He's had 293 tackles in 4 seasons. That's an alarming number last year. 68.1%. I mean, that tells me that maybe y'all disagree with me. That tells me he's just not worth that. I don't know. Some news. Jeremy Fowler says that the Commanders made an aggressive push for Alec Pierce, and so did the Patriots. So apparently the Saints did not. Some more breaking news. Former Chiefs cornerback Jalen Watson has reached an agreement today, 3-year deal with the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams now have Watson and Trent McDuffie. They're just picking up on the Chiefs backfield. Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to bring Gabe on in a minute if I can't stop coughing. I made a joke that I could go 3 minutes without coughing. Maybe I can. So anyway, we're going to get to the comments on all that. But, man, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff this morning. What else we got? Adam Varner wants to know, who do I think our best option is if it's not Edwards? I mean, honestly, Adam, we're going to talk more about this later in the week. But there are at least 10 good guards that the Saints could go after. At least. There are plenty of them. But it's like I said the other day, whoever is at the top of the Saints list, that's who they need to go after, I think. If it's David Edwards, great. If it's not, then that's fine too. But whoever is number 1 on your list, it is what it is. Sav's not happy about Kenneth Walker going to Chiefs. He wouldn't mind grabbing it up. Yeah, again, that was my pipe dream. Kenneth Walker's deal, by the way, 3 years, $45 million. So $15 million a year. That's a little bit more than I thought it would be. Gabe thought it would be something along those lines. I thought it was a little high. I thought he was getting more like 12 or 13 million. Does that up the contract numbers for a guy like Etienne now? I'm not an Etienne fan at all. But remember I was telling you the rumors about maybe Friday. I thought Etienne was going to the Chiefs. Instead, they swung for the fences and they got Walker instead. A much better running back. I don't care what anybody says. Kenneth Walker is a much better running back than Travis Etienne. Much better. What does Etienne get now? Gabe says 10 to 12 a year. I'm going to be interested to see what happens on that note. Ryan says, good morning. Totally agree on Alontae. He's a nice player, attack as well, but struggles in coverage. And Ryan, to that point, again, I mean, you can't justify spending that kind of money on an Alontae Taylor. Again, it's a need. And if you lose him, the Saints are going to have to figure something out. Rob says the Cowboys overpaying for a mid-level player. Stop the presses. I know. UBN wants to know what Olave will get. I think he's going to get pretty much what Alec Pierce is getting. Maybe a tinge more. I mean, he may get $30 million a year. 4 years. I mean, Alec Pierce gets 4 years, $115 million. I think that's pretty much what Olave is going to get. Maybe a little bit more. We'll see. Lance says he's starting to feel the love. Breaking news. Laramie Tunsil Boy, you want to talk about a need for the Commanders. Left tackle is absolutely a need. 2 years, $60.2 million extension. Commanders going to stay there. Look, I'll tell you, that's something the Commanders had to have because they were just, I mean, they're getting our man killed. I'm just saying. Jalen's getting killed. Jaden Daniels is getting absolutely destroyed. How many times did he get sacked? Well, he got hurt last year. I think his rookie year he got sacked like 43 times. I think that was the number. If you get a chance, Gabe, look up and tell me how many times Jaden Daniels got sacked. Now, last year I only played, 5 or 6 games? I don't know. Brian says not spending $16 million for Alante when he leaves. Draft Mansour Delane. I don't know how many times to tell y'all this. You cannot draft Mansour Delane at 8. You just cannot do it. Besides, I mean, look, I'm not going to stay on the you just can't draft defense train because, look, like some of our other guests, breaking news, Jalen Phillips signed with the Panthers, $120 million over 4 years. Wow. You can leave that up for a minute. I'm just going to say, the Saints have, look, it's a need. I don't know how many times I could say this. Unless one of the top 3 defensive guys drop, I just don't know how you can draft defense. You know, Bain's question was on the cusp. But, Arvell Reese isn't going to drop. Is Caleb Downs going to drop that far? I don't know. If he does, then, of course, you got a decision to make. Gabe Henderson says Caleb Downs is the best player in the draft. However, I mean, there's no question that the Saints' biggest need, other than guard, is running back. It simply is. They've got like a half a running back right now. And that's like Alvin Kamara. He's going to be an RB2. I mean, Devin Neal is an RB3. That doesn't even count. You've got to have an RB1 unless you say, you know what? We're still in rebuild mode, then fine. If you think we're still in rebuild mode, then fine. And you don't have expectations to go to the playoffs next year, great. I think that's a realistic expectation and say what's something that's normal. You just can't. Otherwise, you got to go draft a running back. I think you just have to. Commanders gave up 37 sacks overall last season. And again, I think, and here's a trade for you in just a minute. But I'll tell you, Daniels got sacked, I think it was 43 times a year before. So they've given up 80 sacks in 2 seasons. They had to do that. They had to make that move. Tom Pelissero reports that the Colts are sending, they sign Alec Pierce. They're not keeping Michael Pittman. They send Michael Pittman to the Steelers. So that's a lot of breaking news for you. Michael Pittman from the Colts to the Steelers. And we told you Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips, by the way, his deal, according to Schefter, 4 years, $120 million, but $80 million in guarantees. Wowzers. That is crazy. And Larry Tunsil's contract includes a signing bonus, the biggest ever for an offensive lineman, $32.5 million. Wow. UBN is just messing with everybody this morning. Hakeem, big dog, welcome this morning. So that's what I think about Alante Taylor, kind of going back to that. When you talk about what Saints needs, I got another question for you in just a minute, but Demario Davis, what's he going to do? Will the Saints lose? I mean, I've had Alvin Kamara towards the bottom of the list on if you told me they're going to keep, what are they going to do with Cam Jordan? Does Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Alante Taylor, if they all leave, does it change the trajectory of what the Saints are thinking in the draft? Maybe if they lose all 3, maybe it does. Derek Carr, sorry, Lance, Derek Carr leaving last year, again, there's no question. And even though he supposedly didn't come out until after the draft or right after the draft was over, there's no question the Saints knew. But Carr leaving obviously affected how the Saints drafted last year. They still went out and got their big need first. What did they need last year at this time? No question they needed another tackle. They went out and got it in the first round of the draft. There's no question that was the number one need. So this year, do they run along a similar line? If all three of those guys leave, do they go out? If Jeremiah Love is there at 8 and draft Love, if he's not there, maybe draft wide receiver and then get a defensive back or an edge rusher in round 2. I'm just saying. I think that's probably the most likely scenario, in my opinion. But again, what happened last year, it affected the draft, but it didn't affect the draft until round 2 when the Saints went out and got Tyler Shuck with the 40th pick of the draft. That's, the game says Mansour Delane should not be off the table. He's not going to be off the table. He'll still be there at 8. But you know what? He'll also still probably be there at 13, 15. He's dropping. Sorry, y'all. I might bring Gabe. Can you come on for a second? Gabe here on a second, just so I can give my voice a little rest. But just kind of talk about what we've seen in free agency thus far and how you think any of this affects the Saints.
I think the Saints are now going to have to pay up for one of the top guards, as I think we all knew, with Ed Ingram being off the market. And not only that, Ed Ingram is getting close to $13.5 million a year. I think the Saints are really going to have to pay up for a guard if they want one of the top guys. And, the running back market, I think they're kind of out of now. I think they're going to be locked into Love unless they want to sign one of the guys like Tyler Algier. So
I agree. And I think Tyler Algier is a possibility. I actually think, your guy, Rico Dowdle, is a possibility. I still think the Saints could be in both. They still could go get a guy like a Tyler Algier or a Rico Dowdle, both of those guys who played in the division last year, and then try to get Love. UBN thinks the Giants take Love. I don't. I mean, I'm not saying
I just don't think
that's going to happen.
I don't think
the Titans would be more likely
to take Love.
Yeah, at 4.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think
the Titans do that. They got enough production last year from their backs. They have way more needs. Their defense.
They definitely have way more needs, but are they smart enough to realize they need to pick for need?
Well, they just traded away an edge to get a defensive tackle. So I assume in an edge heavy draft, they would probably go edge at 4.
Adam is saying no defense with our first pick. He's still saying that, and he's screaming it as loud as he can possibly say it.
I don't think the Saints invest in Rico Dowdle and take Jeremiah Love. I think that's way too much draft capital to put in, or way too much capital in general to put into one position.
Larry Bro says, if Tyler Shuck is a true future quarterback, the Saints need to build around him. Got to take Love if he's there. If not, top wide receiver. And then second round, wide receiver or running back if you miss Love, left guard in the third.
You can't ignore defense for that long.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. Breaking news. Malik Willis. We talked about Miami this morning. Malik Willis is headed to the Dolphins.
Be intrigued to see how much he got. See if I'm right about my $30 million.
According to David Mulugeta of Athletes First, Ian Rappaport is retweeting this, so it's got to be good. 3 years.
I got it right here.
$67.5 million with $45 million guaranteed. And that is absolutely incredibly insane. That is insane for an unproved. You got to pay dead cap money of nearly $100 million for Tua, and you're going to go insane and spend $67.5 million on a guy that obviously did nothing for the Titans and had a couple of good games for the Packers. I don't get it at all. Insane.
I love this deal.
You're insane. They're insane.
No. Here's why. We are now going to see if Malik Willis is a good NFL quarterback. I've seen so many people over the last few days say, so many analysts, former quarterbacks say, I went back and watched the Malik Willis tape, and it's better than I thought. He's going to be good. There are so many people that are so in on Malik Willis. The Miami Dolphins are not trying to win now. They are trading away everything they can.
He's not
this is the
good.
perfect time. This is the perfect time to take a big swing on an unproven quarterback to see if he's real. If he's the real deal, then they will be contending again in a few years. But if he's not, they have nothing to lose.
Here's the problem, though. I guess in the grand scheme of things, $67.5 million. You thought he was going to go for $30 million a year.
I thought he was going to get the 30 he wanted.
So he's only. I say only. That's 22-ish, 23-ish a year. But still, and I get quarterbacks. That's the going rate. But you're just getting just killed salary cap wise, and there you're going to go spend money. And if he stinks,
I don't think they care.
Not only that, the Dolphins are going to absolutely stink.
Salary cap wise,
they're going to. Man, that's. I think that's crazy.
Sean, they're going to get killed this year.
Sean, almost no way the Cardinals take Love, in my opinion.
They would have to get rid of James Conner.
Well, it's already been said this morning that he's going back. So they're not getting rid of James Conner, and they've got Trey Benson. I don't think there's any way they're going to use the third.
I don't think Trey Benson. All due respect to Trey
Love.
Benson, I don't think Trey Benson is stopping anyone from drafting.
Well, I'm not saying that they've already have him on there. What are you going to do with him? I mean, I don't think that's you're not doing that with the third pick of the draft. You're just not. The Bears are signing defensive tackle Neville Gallimore to 2-year, $12 million deal, according to Pelissero.
Isaiah Likely is signing with the Giants.
Okay. In fact, I had that in my notes that Isaiah Likely was likely to go to the Giants. Likely, get it? Likely was likely to go to the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, that's
on my notes.
That's the no shit like Harbaugh connection.
Yeah.
But back to this Malik Willis thing real quick. I really like this deal for Miami. You have a new head coach. He gets to select his own quarterback. You take a heavy swing. Here's the thing. If you miss on Malik Willis, who cares? Who cares? You're going to have so much money.
You know what? Who cares anyway? Because the Dolphins suck. I don't care about the Dolphins. They're terrible.
They're going to suck. But here's the thing.
They're going to suck for a long time.
Not necessarily.
I think they're going to be terrible for a long time.
Okay, if Malik Willis is good, then
I think they're going to be terrible.
They could be a good team again in 2 years.
I don't know, man.
Because they're basically taking all of the hits now. They cut Tyreek Hill. They traded Minkah Fitzpatrick. They're going to cut Tua Tagovailoa. They are eating all of that money now to open it up on the back end.
Yeah.
And they're taking a swing on their quarterback.
That's why the Dolphins are the Dolphins.
If Malik Willis is good and they have their quarterback, they're going to have a lot of money to play with, like the Saints next season.
All right, I'm going to bring you back in probably 20, 30 minutes, and we're going to do our new segment and whatever's on if you have something on your mind, and you're free to spot it off then. But thank you for helping me get the frog out of my throat.
No problem.
See you in a minute. All right, who knows? Maybe we'll see him in really a minute if I start choking again. Lance, I don't know how many times to tell you this. You say none of the guards. You're just saying none of the guards are good because you want they're not moving Eric McCoy to guard. I don't know how else to explain this to you. I'm trying to break it to you as gently as I possibly can. The Saints are not moving Eric McCoy to guard. Eric McCoy is the center. Now, if they want to go back and try to re-sign Luke Fortner, great. And have a great backup center and whatever. And you say none of the guards are good. You're absolutely 100%. You couldn't be more wrong. Look, we love having these. For new people new, he's calling out one of his regulars. He's calling out a member. This is how we talk to one another, okay? But if you look at the free agent guards that are in the market, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. According to Spot Track, okay, there are 10 guards. And I know this isn't the only judge. This is the best year for free agent guards in probably a decade. I'm not exaggerating. It's probably been a decade since there have been this many good guards on the market. I mean, David Edwards is at the top. He's projected to get somewhere in the market neighborhood of $19 million a year. maybe $20 million a year. Braden Smith, Mekhi Becton, Joel Bitonio, Elijah Vera Tucker. There's other names on this list. Wyatt Teller. And then there's names below that. I think it's an incredible year for guard. I'm serious. I'm not trying to be mean. But regardless of what I think, what you think, whatever, the Saints are not going to go spend that kind of money on a Linderbaum. They're just not. They are not going to do it. Breaking news. Former Bengals edge rusher Joseph Osai is signing with the Jets. There you go. Ryan says that Jeremiah Love will fall to the Saints. Genty should serve as a warning if you have a ton of needs. You don't draft a running back that high. Bull Smokies. Horse hockey. Whatever word you want to use. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And if you're saying Ashton Genty isn't good, how about the Raiders are just a mess? I'm sick of people saying you don't draft a running back that high. Yes, you do. If you need a running back one and you don't get the one you want in free agency, then you go and draft an RB1. And Jeremiah Love is unquestionably, undoubtedly, no doubt, an RB1. He is. Just saying. Lance, Zach even said last week, Saints aren't excited about this free agent guard class. Doesn't matter if they're excited about it. You have to go get one. Doesn't matter if you're excited about it or not. You have to go get one. UBN keeps saying the Giants will take Love. I don't think they're going to. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I know the Browns aren't going to take him. Commanders, maybe. I'm telling you right now, I would not be shocked. You know how the Saints like to trade up. And I'm not saying I advocate for this or don't advocate for this. But I would not be surprised if the Saints trade up to 4. What would they have to give up to get to 4? I don't know. Would they have to give up next year's first-round pick to move to 4? I don't know if they'd have to give up that much to move to 4. They swap places with the Titans. Would a second rounder be enough, Gabe? I don't know. No, they'd have to give up first next year. And I don't know if I would do it or not. Extension for Pittman, by the way. We told you earlier that Michael Pittman is going from the Colts to the Steelers. It's a 3-year, $59 million extension for Pittman. According to Gabe's telling me he's getting this off the wires. The move clears up $24 million in cap room with the Colts. I get why you think he's going there. I just don't think that the Giants have so many needs. I just don't think that's the direction they're going to be going. Again, I'm not saying you're 100% wrong. I don't think that's what the Giants are going to do at 5. Although the Giants snaked the Saints last year. Ended up working out for the Saints because they got their quarterback of the future, and who knows what Jackson Dart is. All right, I'm going to come back to Saints in a minute. I do want to talk just a little bit. I'm not going to spend a lot. I thought I was going to spend more time on this morning, but I'm not going to spend nearly as much time because I know y'all want to talk about football. So, but I am going to talk about this for a moment and talk about the LSU semi-fighting Tigers. One thing I found interesting, and for those of you who have been living in the dungeon, then if you don't know this, then you don't care about LSU baseball, and that's fine. The LSU Tigers lost 2 out of 3 to Sacramento State this past weekend and have now lost 4 out of 5 non-conference games. Some interesting stats for you. And as we ask, is the sky falling when it comes to LSU baseball? It is the first time they've lost 4 of 5 since they lost 6 out of 7. 6-7. I did not make this up, by the way. It really is since they lost 6 out of 7. To Arkansas, Southern, and Vanderbilt in late March, early April of 2024, which was just 2 years ago. Now, what happened that season? Well, most of you will remember when I tell you. You might not remember off the top of your head. But they lost at North Carolina in a super regional. They lost in 10 innings in the second game. If you remember correctly, they had this long stretch where they just stunk. And then they started getting a lot better. And they had the home regional, but had to go on the road and play at North Carolina. And they took North Carolina to the brink a North Carolina team that I think was the 4 or the 5 seed that year. They took them to the brink in Heartbreak City. They lost in the 10th inning. But that same year, they lost 6 out of 7 to Arkansas Southern. That's right. They lost to Southern and Vanderbilt. Now, okay, Ridgeway's coming back. Okay. That's about all that's worth. Breaking news. John Ridgeway is coming back to the Saints. $6.2 million for a 2-year deal. Okay. There you go. Another interior defensive lineman. Saints have a bunch of those. But again, got to remember they're transitioning into that 3-4. They're really going to, I think you're going to see some changes in style this year in defense. We'll see. That's coming up later in Dattitude. That'll be more for the summer. First time that back to LSU real quick. Again, we're coming back to the Saints, I promise. But I wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about LSU. The first time they lost 4 of 5 non-conference games, and I went back year by year by year. I did not rely on anybody's reporting or anything else because LSU, when they reported it on the game last night, they didn't report it this way. It was the first time they lost to non-Power 5 schools since 2007. I wanted to know when's the last time they lost 4 out of 5 non-conference games. I didn't care whether they were against non-Power 4 schools or whatever. When's the last time that LSU lost 4 of 5 non-conference games? Well, it's that same year. 19 years ago, 2007, February 25th to March 3rd, they lost to UCF, Tulane, and then lost 2 to Lipscomb. That was Paul Maneri's first season, 2007. They didn't make a regional that year. They finished 29, 26-1. They were 12, 17-1 in SEC play. So what we saw this weekend, does it tell us more about what we're going to see in the future, or is it just a blip? And I'm going to say this about where we are right now with this LSU team. If LSU stinks, okay? I mean, I'm sorry. They stink, the sky is falling, of course. But if LSU comes back, okay, and they haven't even started SEC play, and they make their normal run, and they go to Omaha, which is completely possible. By the way, these numbers on the screen, if you think I didn't update them this morning, I absolutely did. These are the current odds at DraftKings. Although LSU dropped in the rankings to 13th from second, a major fall, no question. But the odds on DraftKings did not change this morning. A lot of teams lost this weekend. LSU is still the favorite on DraftKings to win the College World Series. Does that mean they're going to even go to the World Series? Of course not. It doesn't mean anything. But it means that the books don't think that the sky is falling. And if LSU finds a way to make their way back and goes to Omaha, you know who's going to remember this stretch of crappy play? No one. Or at least no one's going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about this in June. Remember when the LSU stung? No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about LSU going to Omaha if that's what happens. Now, if they stink, we can point back to this period of time when they couldn't hit the ball against a Sacramento State and against the Ooh La La who thought it was their College World Series and the Northeastern and whatever else. But if they do what they're supposed to do and what we think they can do, it's not going to matter. Upcoming schedule. They play Creighton tomorrow night before Creighton will play a 3-game set against Tulane. And then SEC plays. But if you look at this schedule, what I find interesting about it is through the rest of this month, today is March 9th, through the rest of this month, they play one series on the road at Vandy to open SEC play. The rest of their games at the box. Grambling on the 17th. Oklahoma the 19th through the 21st. Louisiana Tech. Kentucky. So 2 straight SEC series at home before they play Southern on March 31st. Then they go on the road at Tennessee. The sky is not falling. Exactly, you man. You might as well just fire. There are people on social media, and Gabe told me this morning. I didn't see it, but I know it's absolutely true. There are people on social media comparing Jay Johnson.
We've got breaking news that I thought
Okay.
a ticker wouldn't do it service. Demario Davis is signing with the Jets on a 2-year, $22 million deal.
Going back to the Jets. That is major breaking news. Tell me that
According
again.
to Tom Pelissero. Demario Davis is signing with the Jets on a 2-year, $22 million deal with $15 million guaranteed.
$15 million. What is the 2 years? Tell me the total
2
number
years,
one more time.
$22 million.
$22 million. So that's about $2 million. I thought more than I thought he would get over the course of a 2 year. So breaking news, big breaking news for Saints fans. If you're listening live, Demario Davis is gone. He is gone back to the New York Jets from whence he came. 2 years, $22 million. And how much again guaranteed? $15 million guaranteed according to Schefter. I just got it on my phone. So yep. Sorry about that. Steve says, damn. Thank you, Gabe.
Yep.
And you could do me a favor. It is, and once you type that into the ticker and run it for a little bit.
Yep. I can do that.
All right, back to the Saints here. That's about all we're going to give you on LSU as we got to get back to. So this is a big deal this morning. Again, Tom Pelissero reporting it. Schefter reported it as well. And I told you this. I had talked to a friend of mine who knows these sorts of things and told me 2 weeks ago that Demario Davis had moved out of his house that the Saints had purchased for him and had moved back to Mississippi, which was a big telltale sign that he knew he was gone. And I kind of mentioned it in passing last week because I didn't want to go overboard. But I had changed my percentage of Demario Davis being 50-50 coming back to about 30%. And I honestly thought it was less than that. I didn't think Demario Davis was coming back. There were some people in the local media that I trust and believe who they thought that he may come back. So I was kind of backing off of what I was thinking a little bit, but it seems to be official. Breaking news, Demario Davis signing with the Jets, $22 million over 2 years. And let me just tell you, that number isn't a number that should have scared the Saints away. So if the Saints were interested, they clearly would have paid $22 million over 2 years. Mitch Bergeron, I got to say, I'm with you. I'm kind of surprised that he's going to the Jets. This tells me, and Mitch Bergeron, if you can't see it, he says, I wish Demario was going to a team with a better chance of making the playoffs. I mean, is it all about the money for Demario Davis? And I'm not saying that's bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this in a bad way. I don't mean that at all. But I mean, is it all about the money? I mean, for some people, okay, it's about the money. That's what it is. I mean, it's a business. But is it all about the money? If you're going to go to the Jet, did you feel like you were being disrespected? I find it interesting. I don't think Demario Davis will ever come out and talk bad about the Saints. Played here for 8 years. But if you're going to the Jets, I mean, maybe he has a history with Aaron Glenn that Aaron Glenn was here for a while. Was Aaron? I'd have to go look back and see if Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn was here when Demario Davis was here. Maybe he knows Aaron Glenn. Maybe he just wants to go back to the Jets. I don't know. That's an interesting deal. But again, if he's going there for 2 years, $22 million, it means the Saints weren't willing to offer that because he probably would have. He knew. I'm telling you, he knew multiple weeks ago. Demario Davis did that he wasn't coming back here, which means the Saints knew that as well. Which one was it? Was it the Saints weren't willing to offer 2 years, $22 million, or did Demario Davis just say, "I'm not coming back"? I don't know. Gabe tells me that Aaron Glenn and Demario Davis overlapped 2018 to 2020. So 3 seasons. Interesting. Thanks for that. Adam Varner. So now that Demario is gone, do I think they try to hold on to Alontae Taylor or Cam Jordan? I think Alontae Taylor is gone. I mean, we told you his goodbye message. If you weren't here early in the show, let me read it to you again. What Alontae Taylor said on Twitter on Friday. Where is it? Here it is. On Friday, said on X, say Twitter, X, whatever. He said, quote, New Orleans, thank you for letting me shine in the Big Easy. I mean, that's all you need to know, right? And then we talked about Alontae Taylor earlier. I mean, he had a career worst 68.1% passing completion percentage against him last year. He got worse every year. He's been getting worse. Can't pay that much money for Alontae Taylor, whatever it is. I mean, if he's one of the top 4 or 5 cornerbacks, to me, you can do whatever you want. I just don't think he's worth it. But Demario Davis expected to get, I said $10 million a year for 2 years. So I thought he was going to get 2 years, $20 million. He got 2 years, $22. Cap hit for the Saints is $14.3 million. And I got to be honest, Gabe, do you know how that affects the Saints cap? I think it's still, you still got to take the dead cap hit, right? It's still dead. It's the same dead cap. Yeah, I think it is. So it's the same dead cap hit of $14.3 million because what they had done before and restructured Demario Davis before, I think they still got to take the hit. Breaking news: one potential target for the Saints, another potential target is gone. We talked about the possibility on Friday of maybe a Kenneth Gainwell who has a history with Kellen Moore. Nope, he's going to Tampa Bay. Kenneth Gainwell signed with the Bucs for $14 million over 2 years, according to ESPN. NFL Network, I'm sorry. Ari's not with NFL Network? Jeremy Fowler's also reporting it. 2 years, $14 million. Is that what you said, Gabe? Yeah. Jeremy Fowler's also reporting it. So back to Demario Davis. He turned 37 on January the 11th. I mean, I was on the fence with Demario Davis. I mean, I guess I was more interested in keeping someone like that because of his intrinsic value, not just his play, but the fact that he was the captain, the unquestioned captain of this football team. But the Saints are trying to get younger. I mean, we've talked about this. I mean, it was in the comments earlier. The Saints are trying to get younger. And when you're trying to get younger, you let guys like Demario Davis go. It's the reason why we're not going to say 0.0 on Taysom Hill. You see him on this list. But are they going to resign Taysom Hill? No. I'd be shocked. I mean, utterly shocked, floored if Taysom Hill comes back to this football team. They're trying to get younger. I mean, because even though you hope the Saints team can compete next year, at the same time, you're still trying to get younger. You're still trying to shed some of the salary. And you're trying to be good and get younger at the same time. There's the only ways you can do that is to move on. So, in answer to your question, Varner, Adam, back to are they more likely to re-sign a Cam Jordan? I mean, I don't want to be, I don't want to go against what I've been saying. I don't think it's more likely that they sign a Cam Jordan. I mean, I kind of think they're going to let Cam go now. I mean, we told you that Alvin Kamara I think he's very likely that he's coming back. You don't restructure a deal like that. The Saints don't gain anything now by cutting him. Before the restructure, they could have gained something by cutting him. But the way they did the deal, fantastic. They did it phenomenally, by the way. It was an outstanding rework. And I think there's a 85% chance that Alvin Kamara is coming back now. Again, you still got to go get a running back. It's still your second most important need behind guard, in my opinion. So I think Kamara comes back, but I don't think any of the other free agents are coming back now. I don't. So to answer your question long-windedly, I don't think Cam Jordan's coming back. It's obvious this team is trying to get younger, and you can't blame them. If you compete next year, great. If you don't, you're setting yourself up for the future to be good for a long time. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Earl says he's upset, bummer, but he figured that's what was going to happen. Charles says he thought he was chasing a ring. I mean, obviously he was chasing money. There you go. Breaking news right as I was about to talk about it on the ticker. There you can see at the bottom. If you can't see it, I'm going to read it to you. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are signing former Lions and Saints linebacker Alex Anzalone and $17 million over 2 years. Alex Anzalone, former Florida linebacker as well, going back to his home state. And the Lions are losing some players as well. Jimmy Rosen says he doesn't get it about Demario Davis. I get it. I don't. It's not what I thought was going to happen. But he's going to the Jets because he's getting 2 years and $22 million, and maybe nobody else is willing to offer him that. And he says, you know what? Some players say, look, this is my last shot at a ring. And some players say, this is my last shot at $22 million. All right? And if you ask a guy, maybe somebody else is willing to give him 2 years, 60. I'm making, and these are completely made up. I'm saying, throwing possibilities out there. Let's say some team that has the potential to go to the Super Bowl was willing to give him 2 years, $16 million, or 2 years, $18 million. And somebody else is willing to give him 2 years, $22 million, which is what the Jets did. He had a decision to make. This is his last chance. This is probably his last contract. Theoretically, is he going to come back after 2 years from now? Maybe. I doubt it. This is probably it for Demario Davis. And he's going back to a team that he already played for. And Charles asking the Saints couldn't afford that contract? Of course they could. They didn't want to. If you're asking me where I am on that, I'm on the fence. I'm not saying it's a bad move or a bad non-move. I get, Adam, you're right. Losing Demario Davis is a big loss in leadership. There's no question. That's a big loss in leadership. The Saints want to get younger, and they don't want to spend $11 million a year on that. Saints got themselves a punter. Ryan Wright. 4 years, $14 million. Let's look up some numbers on Ryan Wright. Saints needed a punter. They needed one badly. Ryan Wright from the Vikings. He is going to be 26 years old. He averaged in his best season last year for the Vikes, 49-yard average. Pretty good. Let me see here real quick. Hang on while we do this, because I want to compare that. Let's see. Hang on real quick. I know y'all love when I do this on live TV. If you're listening, you love it even more when I do this. But I want to compare that. And here we go. This is what I want to get to. Kai Kroger's numbers last year. Kai Kroger averaged 44.8 yards per punt. Net yards per punt, 37.3 yards. Wright averaged 49 yards per punt and a net of 44.5. That is a major difference. Wow. So that's a major upgrade. Is it worth $14 million for a punter? I think so. A lot of you are probably going to be ticked off because the Saints didn't want to spend $22 million on Demario Davis to spend $14 million on a punter. You got to realize that's $14 million over 4 years. So it's really $7 million for 2 years, $3.5 million a year. Absolutely needed that. But back to Demario Davis. Demetrius says the Saints probably offered him a 1-year deal and the Jets gave him 2. It's possible. Absolutely possible. Abby Celestine. Why would he go to the Jets? Aaron Glenn will get fired midseason. I don't think Aaron Glenn's going to get fired midseason. They'd have to be really, really bad. Really bad. They're the Jets, so they could be really bad. But we told you, and Abby, you might not have been here earlier when we were talking about this, but Demario Davis has a history not only with the Jets, because that's where he played before he came here, but he played under Aaron Glenn when he came here from 2018 to 2020. Maybe he just wants to be comfortable, maybe he said, again, there's all kinds of hypotheticals out there. And there's maybe the Saints wanted to give him a 1-year deal and he wanted to. Maybe a contender was willing to give him 16 or 18 million for 2 years and the Jets were willing to give him $4 million or $6 million more. And he says, this is my last contract. And you know what? $4 million is a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. I don't care how much money you make. $4 million is still a lot of money. And maybe he said, I'm going to get paid. I'm going to go where I feel comfortable. Ryan says that Davis mentioned in one of those interviews last month about going to a team that was young and he could tutor. Makes sense. I mean, this is a team that's young and he can tutor. But I get it. And Charles, I get some people are going to be upset about this move. Some people are going to be really pissed off that Demario Davis is not coming back to the Saints and that the Saints weren't willing to give him $22 million over 2 years. I get it. But I understand why. Rob, you're absolutely right. Father Time, undefeated in the history of ever. I mean, again, you're talking about a guy who turned 37 years old on January 11th. Do you want to pay $11 million? I'm not saying you should have. Again, I'm on the fence. I see both sides of this thing. I'm not saying great job, Saints, for letting him go, or this sucks. Saints, I can't believe you let him go. No, I'm not saying either one of those things. I'm saying I understand why they did it. Gabe says Father Time has lost one. They lost to Tom Brady. I guess in the grand scheme of things, Tom Brady kind of lost. I mean, eventually. It's going to be a different team. Earl says Stutzman's got to step it up now. Phil says Taysom Hill is gone. He thinks Cam Jordan's gone. Mitch says because of the history with Cam, he would like it if they could get him back. He agrees with my comments, but does provide that leadership. Look, I'm not going to be upset if they re-sign Cam. In fact, I'm probably more would rather them sign Cam than Demario Davis. I don't know. Is Demario Davis hurting for money? You don't have to be hurting for money, Charles, to say this team's offering me $4 million more than someone else or $6 million more than someone else or whatever. For $1 million more. You don't have to be hurting. Okay? That's a lot of money. So you don't have to be hurting if someone's offering me $6 million more. I'm not going to. Who am I? Who is anyone to say they shouldn't go do that for more money? They should go and try to get a ring. Maybe he wants money, or maybe he wants to go where he feels comfortable. Sean, I agree with you. He says, we as Saints fans have to be more open to moving on. Don't want to keep players that are most likely on the decline. Again, if this was a team, if you go back and you take the 2019 Saints, okay, and you're going into 2020 and you got a guy like Demario Davis that's going to be 37. Again, obviously, I mean, I'm no math whiz, but 6 years ago, Demario Davis was 31, so it's different. But if you take Demario Davis, it would make much more sense for a team that was coming off of something like 2019. I'm not going to say what happened in 2019. You all know what happened. But it would make much more sense for a team like that to want to bring back a Demario Davis. Because you have, excuse me, because you think you have your quarterback of the future, and you probably do. I'm not saying you don't. But because you had a great finish to a terrible season, a super small, I'm going to leave that up, Gabe. I'll get to it in a second. A super small sample size. That doesn't mean that this Saints team is ready to go be a 10 or 11 win team and win the division. Could they? Sure, they could. But if the mentality was when Kellen Moore came in here and he sat down with Mickey Loomis and he says, you know what? What does this team need to do? We need to get younger. If they sat down and said, these are the things, this is what our team looks like over the course of the next 3 years. And they say, we're going to stick to the plan. And the plan didn't involve a Demario Davis. Then sorry, but it's bye-bye Demario Davis. And just as equal, if Demario Davis says, I don't feel like I fit in New Orleans anymore. Maybe Demario Davis just says, I don't want to stay in New Orleans anymore. Maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe he felt like his time here had run its course. Demario Davis was as model of a citizen for this community as there ever has been. He and Cam Jordan both. You couldn't ask for two better role models than Demario Davis and Cam Jordan. But if they don't fit into your plans, they don't fit into your plans. It is what it is. And it's exactly what Sean said. As much as it might hurt. You have to do what's best for your football team, and sometimes doing what's best for your football team is moving on, and it stinks, and it sucks, and it hurts. It hurts your feelings, and I get it. But sometimes you got to do it. breaking news: defensive back Kobe Bryant is signing with the Bears, according to NFL Network. Thank you for that, Gabe. That is a big signing, by the way, for the Bears, because I think he's I think he's an unsung. The Saints don't necessarily need a safety, but not that they're going to be in the market for a guy like that. But Kobe Bryant is a fantastic football player. Not that I need to tell you all that. The Commanders are assigned in cornerback Amik Robertson to a 2-year deal for $16 million, according to Tom Pelissero. But look, I get it, man. I hear where y'all are coming from. 3 years, $40 million for Kobe Bryant. It hurts. And then look, it's going to suck. This isn't the last one that's going to suck. Jimmy Rosen says it just doesn't feel right. I hear you. Rob says a good punter can be a young quarterback's best friend. Absolutely. If there's one thing the Saints needed, was a punter. Well, I mean, they needed a lot. Actually, punter was probably up there. I mean, you got to put it in like small subscript type, because a punter is never going to be as important as a real player. But I mean, the Saints punting game was atrocious. So you sign a punter for 4 years, $14 million. If you missed it a few minutes ago, the Saints have signed former Vikings punter Ryan Wright. 4 years, $14 million, $8 million guaranteed. That is a good deal. The Saints absolutely needed to do that. Apathy says he's not mad at all. Screw the Jets. Earl says the Jets needed leadership on defense bad. Adam Varner says Demario Davis is leaving, surprises him a little bit, considering the upside of this coming season potentially. Again, it's not necessarily just about Demario Davis. Demario Davis might have said, I'm not coming back. We don't know. We might never know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Phil wants to wonder what the tax bracket in New York does to Demario Davis. Ain't good. That's true. You got a point. I don't know. Mitch says football is a business. Bottom line. Amen. Christopher Crump says we want a young team again. Let's cry over the good ones and let's get over and move on. Now, look, Chris, Demario Davis, absolutely one of the good ones. But you're also right that let's cry, be upset about it. It's okay to be upset about it, but you know what? You got to move on. And if you want your team, if you're thinking about what the future is for your team, we're about to move on, Gabe, get ready. So we've got about 3-4 minutes before we move on. Because we're not going to have a 2-hour show today. Trying to save some of my voice. Larry Bro says losing Demario feels a lot like losing Sam Mills. You know what? You're right. Probably not that much different. Mr. Working Man wants to know, the Saints sign a new left guard yet? Not yet. Probably not going to happen until it could happen today. We'll see. Look, again, lastly, before we move on, I'm going to repeat myself. It sucks. Cry over it, as we just said. But as Chris just said, cry over it. But you know what? You got to be open to change. You really do. You have to be open to This is not your older brother's Saints. This is even your older brother's Saints. Certainly not your daddy's Saints. Okay? Jimmy says he's not upset. He's pissed. You can't be pissed. You can't be. Well, I mean, you can be. I can't tell you what to be. I understand it. So I'm not going to tell you what to be. Rocky says change is good. And change is good. When you're trying to get better, here's what we know. No change is bad. Okay? That's the last thing I'm going to say on the Saints before we move on and get to our new segment. Because I want y'all to, by the way, when we get to our new segment, please, I ask you to stick around and give it a chance, because we're going to have fun with it. The new segment coming up is Dat Date in History, where I pick a random year out of the sky, and I asked the randomizer for a year between 1950 and 2025. It gives it to me, and we go back on that date and we see what happened. And then we kind of have fun with it with Gabe and ask him some trivia. So stick around for that's coming up. We're going to have fun with it. But look, the last thing I'm going to say on this is the one thing we know with this New Orleans Saints team And for a lot of teams that stink. We know that, yeah, sure, change is good, but no change sucks. Okay? And sure, there are different things you can change and whatever. And this might not be one of the things you wanted to change. But you know what? When you're going for change, it is what it is. You got to take it. You got to take the good with the bad. Breaking news this morning, Caden Mays is signing with the Lions for $25 million over 3 years. Thank you, Gabe. I mean, no change would be terrible. And we would be sitting here saying, oh, we kept all these guys for all this money. And then come week 6, week 8 next year, we'd be trying to trade them at the deadline. Because the Saints are 3-5 again, or 2-6, or 3-7, or whatever the hell they are. You can't wait till then. You got to do it ahead of time. You got to be aggressive. You got to jump ahead of it. Barry, no change equals stagnation. And I completely agree. Rocky says he took the money and he went home. It's where he started. He's going to finish his career where he started. And again, I can't blame him one iota. I get it. All right, y'all stick around for this, again, for this upcoming segment. We're going to have fun with it before we close out the show this morning. Look, we had lots of breaking news this morning. I don't think it's going to be as crazy on Wednesday, but I would expect Wednesday we're going to have a lot of moves during the show as well. So make sure if you're new to the show and you like what you see, subscribe to our YouTube page. Come back and see us on Wednesday. We do the same thing on Wednesday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live at 11 a.m. Central Time. We told you earlier we'll let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth, whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? Great question. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, they'll begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the world. They'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. Very few companies like them in this area, and 0.0 with their dedication and success. They're fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick about what's really important. And it ain't about how much change or no change or whatever. No, you know what's really important? The most important thing today you'll hear tomorrow and every day for the rest of your life. That's what's important the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Charles says business sucks, but it's picking up. Oh, you know what I mean. I get it. Yep, we talked about this earlier, Ken. If you missed the first part of the show, Kenneth Walker. That's good to bring it up again. Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs, $45 million, $28.7 million guaranteed. Kind of sucks. Again, he was on my pipe dream list. He probably was never coming to the Saints. But hey, guy can dream. Can he? Gabe Henderson?
Yeah, you can dream.
I mean, a guy wants to dream.
That's a nightmare for me. But
I mean, I tell you what, that gives some instant credibility to the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, you ready to have some fun with our new segment?
Well, I wanted to discuss one thing first.
Hold on real quick. I'll show this comment before we move on because I agree with Lance. He's sad about Demario Davis. He could still play a run, but his coverage skills was slipping. Wish him and the family and the best. And Lance, amen. One thing we know for sure is, as Demario Davis, don't be sad. Thank him for the 8 years that he was here. Just one of the, certainly a top 15 Saint of all time. Going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. I would think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's close anyway. And wish him nothing but the best on his way out for sure. Yeah, go ahead, Gabe.
So I was going to just briefly touch on the Tua to Atlanta rumors. There's a lot of people who are instantly like, yeah, give me Tua to Atlanta. That'd be great for the Saints. I actually think it'll work. I think it'll work really well. Not only, as you mentioned earlier, you signing him for a vet min, there's still a good quarterback in there somewhere. Kevin Stefanski has done really well with mediocre quarterback talent. I mean, hell, he took Joe Flacco to the playoffs just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
look, you sign up for the minimum. You have nothing to lose.
As well. Yeah, but then I've got this. So when he is playing in a dome, which Miami famously did not do, and Miami was famously bad in cold weather, When playing inside of a dome, Tua Tagovailoa is 5-1 all time with 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a 102.4 quarterback rating.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think Tua is a good quarterback. I mean, I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think a change of scenery is going to really do him well. And I think with a good coaching staff and some help, and look, he goes to a team immediately. Yeah, he had some weapons in Miami, but they all hurt. I mean, so who knows what the hell last year? We'll see.
He gets he's a very
by the way,
low risk.
Breaking news. Speaking of the Falcons, they are signing, according to Tom Pelissero, they are signing 41-year-old veteran kicker Nick Folk to a 2-year deal. Interesting move there. He is about to play his 20th, count them 20 NFL seasons.
So just to fire off some quick stats, Nick Folk last year was 28 of 29 on field goals, which is a 96.6% success rate, and he was 22 of 22 on extra points.
Interesting. He's been pretty damn good. All right.
Very good last year.
Earl says Tua is immediately the best quarterback on that team. I don't think there's any question that's true. All right. We may come back to football before we leave, but again, I would ask everyone, I know you don't always stick around when we do stuff like this, but stick around for this segment. Let me know what you think about it. Mention it in the comments. Tell me whether you're watching after the fact or whatever you're watching now. Let me know what you think. We've got a new segment here that we're going to have on every show, and it's called Dat Date in History. And again, how it works is we take today's date, March the 9th, and we go back, and I asked a randomizer, in this case ChatGPT, to give me a random year between 1950 and 2025. And whatever year it gives me, I went back and found the front page of the Times-Picayune on that date so we could talk about what happened here locally, and then I can ask you in a fun way some trivia questions about what happened nationally on that date.
Okay.
And we're just going to have fun with it. And the year for our first ever Dat Date segment is 1983. And then I tried to make this bigger, but it's really hard to make the front page of the paper from back then. It's all black and white. It's kind of a mess. It's from the library. The sports page of the front page of this, let me tell you, randomizer probably couldn't pick a worse year because there wasn't much going on in the state back in 1983 in New Orleans. I would tell you this. If you're looking at the screen, okay, and you see that big strip of gray type above the fold in all 5 columns, they put Pete Finney's column across all 5 columns. And interestingly enough, there's a major head bust. I picked a page with a major head bust. It says LSU's Carter, quote, Mr. Everything, not everything, everything, and then some. And it was this column on, I don't know, you old people like me will remember Howard Carter, High C. Carter, remember him? But there is something interesting about this, okay? So it's a column about how High C. Carter was one of the better players in the country and unsung, played for Dale Brown. But here was LSU that season. LSU basketball in 1983 was 18-11 under Dale Brown and 11-7 in the SEC. How do you think that team finished out their year?
Probably better than Matt McMahon's team finished out this year.
LSU was a number 7 seed in the NCAA tournament. Went to the West region and lost to 10th seeded Dayton in the opening round, 74-66. But to show you how interesting it is, they were a 7 seed with 18 wins. That's a little different than you win 18 today. You're probably not going to a tournament. At least, I mean, maybe in the SEC you might, but you're not getting a 7 seed.
There's been multiple teams over the last few years that have gotten in with 18 wins.
Breece Hall, interestingly enough, by the way, who got tagged last week for the Jets, to interrupt real quick, tweets out this morning, damn, we sure got a lot of money in Florham Park. All these contract dudes we signing, with 3 laughing emojis. In other words, he ain't happy. Just saying. Tight end Daniel Bellinger, formerly of the New York Giants, going to the Tennessee Titans. All right, here's another thing that happened on this day. You can't see it, but Dave Lagarde did an advance on the New Orleans Open, which was the PGA golf tournament here at the time. The 400.
There you go, UBN. There's your golf.
The $400,000 New Orleans Open. That's how much the total purse was of the New Orleans Open. Now, the Zurich Classic of New Orleans, the total purse of that, you want to take a guess? It was $400,000 in 1983.
2.2 million.
You said 2.2 million? Add 7 million to that. $9.2 million Zurich Classic of New Orleans. Other stories on the front page of the New Orleans Times-Picayune on the sports section. Suno, this shows you go how far back this is. Suno defeated Xavier in the NAI District 30 finals. The Times-Picayune doesn't cover Suno or Xavier anymore. It's a shame, by the way. And a feature from Bill Bumgarner on men's rec softball. How far we've come when we used to be able to cover men's rec softball. Okay, here's some national things, and I'll tell you first before I ask you questions. I've got some questions on what happened on this date on March 9th, and you guys can play along, and you ladies can play along if you're watching. But in 1983, the big news at this time was that NC State and Houston were the teams that the nation were talking about heading in a conference tournament championship week. And the player spotlights in college basketball were on Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan. And interestingly enough, the national title game in 1983 is a very famous one, by the way. It's the one where North Carolina got the air ball and put it up and scored at the buzzer, and Jim Valvano went nuts. But it was played at the North Carolina State. That's what I meant to say. Sorry. It was played at the Pit in Albuquerque, New Mexico, back when they played national championship game in small venues. They wouldn't even think about playing a national championship game there anymore. All right. I'm going to go through. I've got a few of them here. Again, play along if you want to, audience, and we'll UBN wants to know, was the New Orleans Open played in 1983? Yes, it was played in 1983. $400,000. And I went back and looked, and I never heard of the person who won it. Earl says he knew something big happened in NOLA in 1983, just not on that day. 1983, I'm sure something big happened in NOLA. CDs came out replacing cassettes and 8-tracks in 1983. Okay. I had long let go of 8-tracks by 1983. But okay, I got a couple questions here. So some trivia questions for you. Again, play along in the audience if you would like. Here's, and I'm going to go through years. I don't want to go in chronological order because then it'll make it too easy. I'm going to give you the easiest one first. Well, This is not necessarily easy. You'll have a ballpark year on this. We all know, and UBN will love this, we all know his mama call him Clay. Okay. I'm going to call him Clay. On this date, Muhammad Ali changed his name from Cassius Clay. What year do you think this happened? On March 9th of what year?
I don't even have a guess.
By the way, the golf tournament at UBN was still at Lakewood, Nick and Jimmy. I thought you would have a roundabout guess.
No.
No? Okay. I know
Not
you're
even
young,
close.
but okay.
I probably couldn't even tell you a decade.
Really? Okay.
No.
All right. Muhammad Ali changed his name from Go ahead, guess. Just guess a year. We'll see how far off you are.
I don't know. 71?
Well, you're not too far off. I mean, he was already the he changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali before I was born in 1964.
Okay.
All right, not too far. All right. On this date in
multiple other people guessing 71, so I wasn't.
See, you weren't there you go. You're not that far off. That's right. Punch Train Beach closed in 1983, Earls. I didn't realize that. Multiple people guessing 71. Charles guessed 70. Mitch Bergeron, 66. You were closest. UBN.
Bad news for Lance. Sorry to interrupt you.
Uh-oh.
Linderbaum
Oh, no.
has reached an agreement.
Hold on. Don't do it yet. This is going to be the end of the Linderbaum from Lance comments. Go ahead.
Has signed an agreement with the Las Vegas Raiders, who are signing him to a 3-year, $81 million deal.
$60 million guaranteed.
$60 million
the
guaranteed.
Saints were never, ever, 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 ever going to give Tyler Linderbaum 3 years, $81 million.
Here's the thing. I don't think anybody other than the Raiders was going to pay $27 million a year for an offensive lineman.
Sorry, Lance.
That wasn't a left tackle.
Damn it, Lance. Lance, I think, is probably already disappeared. Maybe he'll come back. We'll see. All right. Back on this date, March 9th in 1991, the Pelicans general manager was then playing for the Detroit Pistons, Joe Dumars. He began a streak of multiple games without a free throw miss. How many games did Joe Dumars go without missing a free throw?
Can I ask a dumb question?
Oh, you can ask whatever you want. I'll give you a hint if you ask for one. But
did he shoot many free throws per game?
No. I did not look to see, but he was a guard, so I would guess. In fact, you know what? We'll do this on live TV very quickly. Joe Dumars, how many free throws did he shoot back in 1991-92? Let's see.
Another breaking news for the Saints. Another target off the board. The Arizona Cardinals have agreed to terms on a 2-year, $12.25 million deal with Tyler Algier.
So they're bringing Connor back and they're getting Algier. They're absolutely out of the market for Jeremiah Love. So that is good news for Saints fans. So the Saints, so that's one team that certainly will not be doing that. All right, free throws. In 1991-92, he shot 475 free throws.
Okay.
And the next
my guess
year,
would be
397. 9 games? You're way off, sir.
Okay.
Jimmy, you're way off. 17. Nope. Charles, nope.
32.
16. 1991, Joe Dumars began a streak of 62 straight games without a missed free throw.
Oh, my goodness.
It's incredible, isn't it? This one should be easy. Okay. In 1995, on this date, Major League Baseball awarded a new franchise to what city? Should be easy, y'all. I'll give you a hint. It's not the Colorado Rockies.
Is that okay? Was it an expansion or a move?
Expansion.
Oh, Tampa?
Tampa. The Tampa Bay Devil Rays were announced as a franchise back in 1995. All right, I got one more question, then I'm just going to tell you the rest of them. Okay. This is an intro. No, actually, I got 2 more questions. Okay. I'm going to try to go to them a little bit quicker because I want to finish with football before we go off the air. All right. Let's see. In 1946, Ted Williams, the great Ted Williams, some say the greatest baseball player ever, certainly the sweetest swinger ever, maybe.
Hitters ever, yeah.
Ted Williams turned down an offer to play in the Mexican League. How much was Ted Williams offered to play in the Mexican League? And he said, no, gracias.
$1 million.
Okay. $1 million. UBN wants to know we're doing this every show. Well, until we get tired of it. So yes, for now. The answer is that's a lot. $1 million in 1946.
I know.
I would have said like 100,000.
You gotta have some reason to lure him away from the MLB.
$500,000. Let's say
I knew it was going to be an absurd amount of money.
How much
for that time
was
period.
$500,000 worth in 1946? That is the equivalent today of $8.9 million. There you go. And the last question.
I was on the right track. I knew it was going to be an absurd amount of money, but that's why my mind immediately went to $1 million.
March 18th, UBN, I'm not doing a show. I'm taking that day off. He says it's a very important day in NOLA history. I'm just kidding. It's a Wednesday. I am doing a show. All right. Last question.
Okay.
This date in 1957, the North Carolina Tar Heels, they won the 4th ever ACC men's basketball tournament. I'm sure you're all shocked. Who did they defeat in the championship game? They won 95-75. Who did they defeat in the 4th ever ACC men's basketball tournament? He's struggling.
Chicago Loyola.
Nope. They defeated a different Carolina team, not North Carolina State. Back in 1957, South Carolina was a member of the Athletic Coast Conference. It was North Carolina over South Carolina 95-75. And lastly, I'm not going to ask a question. I'm just going to tell you, back in 1897, the Cleveland baseball Spiders began being called the Indians.
I think they should have, when they moved from the Indians to the Guardians, they should have gone back to the Spiders. That would have been cool.
I agree 100%. And
I will give you
and
an
I'll just say this.
extra.
If you're going to pull this crap, Gabe, you could at least said you were with the New York Yankees. You know. Right.
So I'll give you one extra day in history. This day, 29 years ago.
29 years ago,
B.I.G.
1997.
Notorious B.I.G. was shot and killed.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. That is such a weird coincidence because for some unknown reason, out of the clear blue, my daughter asked me about Notorious B.I.G. on Saturday night, and we were coming home and we put him on. Good. Kind of
for what it's worth.
Kind of weird.
And I know people love when we talk music here. For what it's worth, I think he's the best rapper that there has ever been.
Well, I told her, to me, that was kind of like that was like towards the end of the real rap era to me. I'm sorry. I know you disagree with me, but I can't really listen to rap today. That was, to me, that was towards the end of when I would listen to that, and I was starting to, of course I was getting a little old.
I think if you hand that man a Chinese takeout menu and told him to rap it, he could make it sound good.
I couldn't.
Hugely entertaining.
Not going to disagree with you at all. Nola Man says he sucks to see D. Davis go. Go back and Nola Man, I know you're probably just in here and you missed us having we had a long 15-minute or so talk about Demario Davis. When we go off, go back and listen to that. UBN wants to know
contract for
UBN wants to know about where Eminem is still on your list.
Depends
and
on what
Charles says Tupac's still the best.
I prefer Biggie over Tupac. Biggie was more concise with his music. Tupac had a lot of throwaway. All Eyes on Me. I know it's a double album. There's a lot in there. It's still really
I'm not
good.
going to tell you who my favorite rapper is.
Eminem is not the best ever. He hasn't had a good album in like 15 years.
I'm sorry. I'm old and I still like Tone Loc. It is what it is. Alvin says this day in history part of the show is great. Brings back a lot of memories. Thank you. And I hope y'all enjoy it. I mean, those sorts of look, when I do new segments, they don't always stick around forever, but I hope this one does. And I hope to do it every show. All right. You got anything before we wrap it up for today? It was a fun show. It was pretty much nonstop, man.
Ooh, look at UBN giving Eazy-E some.
Double G.
Eazy-E is another one of those rappers like Biggie who very entertaining, great flow, whatever he raps, he makes it sound good. And it wasn't always like that.
Boys?
I guess my final thought
stick 'em, baby. Stick 'em.
Would be I'm amazed that Linderbaum got that big a deal. But it's good for the Raiders. The Raiders
Lance, did I miss it? Lance didn't even say anything about Linderbaum being gone. Cannon says Lil Wayne is the best rapper. All right. I love Lil Wayne. I'm not going to argue about New Orleanians, that's for sure.
Trust me.
I'm not going to argue against them.
If you've never explored Lil Wayne's mixtape run, No Ceilings is one of my favorite mixtapes ever. The Carter 6 was really, really bad.
Lance is drinking because we didn't the Saints. I'm telling you, Tone Loc, baby. Need $50 to make you holla. I get paid to do the wild thing. Just saying. Da-da-dum-dum-dum. All right. We're gonna lose. People are gonna unsubscribe if I start doing any more of that. I will see you on Wednesday. We may have another show like this one. Either way, we're gonna have fun. I will see you on Wednesday, my friend. Thank you for all your help today.
Likewise.
All right, a very fun show. I hope you liked the new segment. We're going to try to have fun with that each show, and I probably spent a little bit more time than we'll normally spend. Kevin, you are 100% right. I mean, saying who the best rapper, that you could ask that question and have 30 people give you 30. There's no question that's true. He says everybody has their best rapper singer. It's no doubt about it. It's still fun to do every now and then, though, right? Nola Man says, yeah, you came in late. It's all good. But I'm telling you, you will want to go back and check out We spent it probably happened what, Gabe, around an hour 10 mark, somewhere around there. We'll have, when we're done here, I will go mark the chapters. So Nola Man, when we're done, come back in about a half an hour, and I will mark the chapters. And actually, Gabe has them. 105:30 is when we started it for Demario Davis, but I will mark the chapters, and so you'll be able to go find it easy. That was kind of fun, yeah. So we're gonna do random years. Maybe I'll change the. I mean, do we really want to go back as far as 1950? Maybe I'll change it like random between. I was born in 68. Maybe we'll do 68 to 2025. Oh, he did have Lance says he had a one-word response when Tyler Linderbaum was signed by someone other than the New Orleans Saints. He says he won't repeat it. Probably a good idea. Just saying. All right. If you like what you heard today, first I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a like. If you haven't already done so, give us the thumbs up, the like. And also click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. And if you come back a few times and you really like what you want to see and you want to help support the channel monetarily, we would love it if you consider supporting the channel. Become a Dattitude, a Dat family member on YouTube. And you will some news coming up on what else you're going to get to become a member. But consider those things. Again, first, we ask you to subscribe. But that will do it for us on this very crazy, very busy, nonstop Mono-y Monday. It's why I couldn't have a guest today. It was too much. I knew too much was going to happen today. As we go through the offseason, we probably will have, most Mondays we're probably going to have a guest. Not every Monday. We had so much fun today. Maybe we'll go back to Mono. I don't know. We'll see. But of course, I want to thank Gabe, who did so much in the background today, typing in the ticker. Oh, he's got one more note. Hold on, before we go off the air, we must have some more breaking news.
Breaking news: the New Orleans Saints are signing Travis Etienne.
Oh, well, there you go. What's the number? We have
don't have numbers yet.
We have a guy that loves to troll me on YouTube. He never watches live. I can't remember what his name is, but he loves to troll me, and he's been begging for Travis Etienne and telling me how much better Etienne was than there it is.
There you go.
Okay, it doesn't say Schefter doesn't say how much.
We have no numbers yet.
That is phenomenal. Look,
there you go.
The Saints had, in my opinion, had to sign a free agent they had to sign a free agent. And Nick saying bye Love, I disagree. I think it's just as possible now. Maybe not as likely, but that is phenomenal. That's a phenomenal signing.
Here's what I think: if you're planning to draft Love, you have to cut Kamara.
You've already paid him. Why would you cut him?
I don't think he would take a number 3 role. I think he'd rather just not play or go elsewhere.
I think it would be.
I don't know.
I don't know that I agree.
But then
with
you
that.
would have to cut Kendre Miller probably.
I got to be honest though. I've said this before. If you don't sign Love, I'm just as good. At this point, no. Maybe you go out and sign the best receiver available. If Love's not going, you still got to take him, in my opinion. However, I will say
if Parnell Tate's there at 8.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah,
I hear Parnell Tate over.
Yeah, for sure.
I think this changes things.
By the way, Schefter says, again, this is great note before we go off the air. We may stay on for a few more minutes now. Adam Schefter says that it was important for Etienne to come back and be close to home. You don't hear that very often from an adult, but okay.
The Athletic is reporting that the Jaguars wanted to retain him. The Broncos and Vikings were also interested, but he ends up signing with the Saints. I think this is for all of the people who love to talk about people who want to be here. I would be ecstatic about this because this is a guy who clearly wants to be in New Orleans.
Yeah, no, I agree. Were you copying and pasting in the crawl the ticker?
Was I?
How are you doing the ticker?
Do you want me to?
If you want, yeah, why don't you type that in? Yeah, because let's stay on for a few more minutes now, because I want to talk about this. In fact, I'm going to put the Saints slide back up.
Okay.
I'm gonna call up Travis Etienne's numbers. Again,
his touchdown numbers probably won't look great from last year.
You're just joining us.
vultured a lot of carries. But
if you're just joining us, Travis Etienne is going to become a Saint, according to Adam Schefter. 4 years in the league. 3 of those years over 1,000 yards rushing, something Alvin Kamara has never done, by the way. Alvin Kamara has never rushed for 1,000 yards in a season. Etienne has done. And look, I mean, I made fun of the guy that's been kind of trolling me on YouTube, saying he wanted Etienne over Kenneth Walker. I mean, there are reasons to say why you would want that. I mean, also, if you look at Etienne's numbers, I mean, he is a very good. He's not as good as Kamara out of the backfield as a pass catcher, but he's still good. He had 6 touchdowns. He's only had 7 receiving touchdowns in his career. 6 of them were last year. And look, when have the Saints been at their best? When they've been able to run that screen game. And Etienne's fantastic at running the screen game out of the backfield.
Let me ask you this. So I know UBN's kind of trolling with this comment. Would you now be as upset if they went defense at 8?
No, I wouldn't be as upset.
I didn't think so. Just thought I'd ask.
This definitely changes. I still would rather them go on. And here's the reason. I said this the other day. This is the reason why I'm probably more inclined to go take a wide receiver now. Again, I'm going to say this. Mm-hmm. If Love is there, not only do you consider it, but I really think you still do it, okay? Because you can get Jeremiah Love. I want to see what Etienne's deal is first. Is he signing a 3-year deal?
Waiting to get that number.
I mean, what is the deal? Is it 2 years or 3 years? Because that also makes a difference. If you sign him to a 3-year deal, maybe I'd back off of Love just a little bit. But with wide receiver contracts the way that they are now, Gabe, you and I have talked about this. If you can get a stud receiver on a rookie contract and sign Olave to a long-term deal, I mean, that is a big boom for your franchise.
Well, you want to talk about receiver contracts. Breaking news: Wan'Dale Robinson to the Titans. 4 years, $78 million.
That's insane.
Wan'Dale Robinson.
That's insane.
So I think that only
that's surprising.
Your point.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I think it's expensive to go out and get a receiver, especially in an offseason where you're gonna hopefully extend Chris Olave. I think you gotta, if Carnell Tate is there at 8, I think you gotta consider it now.
I mean, we're going to go. I mean, I guess I'm glad we stayed on a little bit longer. Yeah. Lance says he liked Etienne more than Walker and Hall. You're not the only one, Lance. Breece Hall was the best of the bunch. I mean, there's no question.
Etienne
Breece Hall
is
the
favorite back into those 3.
Yeah, I mean, you have. Let's just say you have a slight bias.
No, when I consider players, I don't consider their team. Okay. One of my favorite running backs ever is Maurice Jones-Drew. So.
Oh, Maurice Jones-Drew was an absolute stud. Rocky says Etienne will be a stud here with Kellen Moore. Look, he fits what Kellen Moore does. I mean, Gabe, when you talk about, and again, I got his numbers up here, and you look at some of the numbers that he's got. I mean, last year, rushed 1,100. He rushed, I guess one thing that worries me just a little bit is how much volume he's had over the course of his career. Look, he's been steady. He's been stable, knock on wood. But to me, a 27-year-old running back, which is fine. I'm fine that it's a 27-year-old running back, but that much volume, because he's had a ton of volume. He's played full seasons, 2 out of his 4 seasons, played 15 games in 2024, but he carried the ball 260 times last year, 150 the year before that, 267 the time before that, 220 the year before that.
Okay, I got
last year he had almost 300 touches last year. So go ahead.
Got your number. It's a 4-year contract worth $52 million.
4 years, $52 million.
So $13 million a year.
Okay. Well, I mean, considering Kenneth Walker went for, that's for $15 million, that's it's not a good sign.
Said earlier, I said 10
sign.
to 12 for Etienne. He gets a little more than that. That's indicative of this market. I do wonder if this is, I mean, obviously the Saints have been planning on this. I do wonder if they got a little more aggressive once they saw these other signings and who else signed elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I think
agree.
It's overall, I mean, I talked about it. I apologize. I don't remember when, but when we talked one episode about the Saints needing a running back, if you look at Kellen Moore's previous stops, he's had that bell cow running back, and Etienne can be that guy.
No, he absolutely can, and that's what I'm talking about. 300 touches, 296 touches last year. In his sophomore season of 2023, he touched the ball. Let's see. Oh man, wow, this is crazy. He touched the ball a whopping 325 times. 335 times. And then his rookie year, he had it 255 times. So, I mean, that is a lot. So, I mean,
former first-round pick.
Jimmy Rosen says that's a fair price. I agree. It's a fair price. Good contract. See, Charles is upset now that Demario Davis is gone. So lots of breaking news here on this episode. Maybe the most breaking news related to the Saints we've ever had it here on the show. Rocky said Sean Payton won Etienne. Yeah, I don't think Etienne wasn't going to Denver, but yeah, maybe
Denver just simply wasn't going to put that much into the running back position.
Yeah,
they've got so
real quick, going back through the numbers again. Yards per reception last year, 8.1 yards per reception. Again, a screen guy. Again, what do the Saints want to get back to? When they've been their most successful? They've been their most successful when they've been able to run the screen game. 1,107 yards rushing last year. That was at 4.3 per carry, which was up from 3.7 and 3.8 the year before. So 4.3 per carry. Fantastic. Not fantastic, but good. Good. Yeah, Charles is saying Demario who now? Earl's picks saying he doesn't really think he's a bell cow.
Can be.
I mean, I think that those numbers say that he kind of is a bell cow.
And let me respond to Kevin's comment. Kevin says Saints are a throwing team anyway. They were a throwing team last year because they had to be.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore's MO is not throwing the football all the time. They don't want Tyler Shuck throwing the ball 40 times a game.
Yeah,
that's just not what they're going to do. They're going to try and run the football first and foremost to open up the pass.
Well, that's one heck of a way to end the show here, Gabe, talking about free agent news with Travis Etienne. Okay, if you're just joining us, kind of to wrap up what happened here this morning, and I can't remember, I think it was Sean who asked earlier, were we going to have a signing today? And I said, I really didn't think it would happen this early. Well, I was wrong. We learned that Demario Davis is gone, and we learned that Travis Etienne is coming. And both of one I'm on the fence about. 2 years, $22 million for Demario Davis of the Jets. Travis Etienne, tell me the contract again.
4 years, $52 million.
4 years, $52 million.
To his age 31 season.
So that is $13 million a year for. I don't think there was much doubt with Breece Hall being tagged. I don't think there's much doubt that Travis Etienne was the second best. I mean, you could argue he was the best running back available in free agent, but certainly the second best.
Yeah, and I believe that now makes him one of the highest paid running backs in the league. I don't remember what Saquon. I believe he got an extension recently. Don't know what that was. I know the Eagles signed him at $13 million a year when they got him from New York.
Right.
So.
Also, the Saints also got themselves a punter. Mm-hmm. My son doesn't realize I do a show on Monday. Shows you how much he watches. The Saints also got themselves a punter. The punter from the Vikings. Brain fart. Tell me again.
Wright.
Yeah, Ryan Wright. $14 million for 4 years. Earl, got to get that guard signed. That's coming up next. I think by the time we come on here Wednesday, Gabe, I think there's a good chance that the Saints have that guard. But if they go out and look, you get a guard, you get one of the top guards, and you sign the guard, you sign the running back in free agency, then I think automatically you're talking about how it's been fantastic and how you've done a really good job.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting now to see what they do at 8. That's where my focus immediately shifts, because whereas we were talking about earlier with all the running backs coming off the board that they were going to go Jeremiah Love, there's just no certainty now. I think they're now in a position to potentially go best player available. You know, as Zach talked about on Friday, if one of those edge rushers falls to them, they could do that. They could go with Caleb Downs. They could go with Carnell Tate. We'll see.
Earl wants to know, is there a note on how much is guaranteed on Etienne?
I haven't seen a guaranteed number yet, no.
Okay. I may put that in the tweet later on. We get it. But what I'm probably going to do here this morning, it's not this morning anymore. But whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. What I'm probably going to do is cut.
You've got another Saints breaking news.
Okay, breaking news.
The Saints are signing former Bills guard David Edwards.
Wow, man, what a morning. What a morning, man. There you go. Breaking news here on the Dattitude. Type that in, Gabe. We're not going anywhere yet. Wow. So the Saints go out and get the running back. They go out and get the guard. As before we even go off the air here, great start to free agency for the New Orleans Saints. You love to see them making the splash. It doesn't matter. I mean, well, he's going to get probably going to get a neighborhood of $18-19 million a year. And I'm guessing it's 3 to 4 million. So the Saints go out and get their guard. They get their running back. Jody, let's effing go. Wow.
I see a surprising lack of Mickey Loomis hate in the comments this week.
Where is the Mickey Loomis hate? Yeah, UBN. Wow, that deserves a wow for sure. So, I guess we're okay with not getting Linderbaum.
I would assume so.
Lance is okay. Charles, maybe they had something in mind when they didn't re-sign Demario Davis. Maybe they're trying to save as much money as possible. I don't know. Rob says, hot damn, didn't expect all this out there. Mickey's out printing checks. Nola Man wants to know how much cap space. That would be 0. I don't think they have any cap space left. I'm sure they're working these. They're probably working these deals. Both of these, Etienne and Edwards are both going to have, Demario. Both of these, the Etienne and the Edwards deal are both going to have big signing bonuses so they can spread out the contract. Can Etienne pass block? Yes. I don't know the answer to that.
Yes.
He says yes.
Yes, he can.
Etienne is definitely going to play a huge part in the passing game. Lance says, can do anything in 8 now. Trade back, defense, offense, no pressure in this draft. But do they take an offensive lineman? We should revolt. I don't know. Y'all,
I mean, here's the thing. We've talked about this for a while now. It is important to, in an NFL offensive line, at least have 4 stable positions.
Yeah.
The Saints now have 4 stable positions. You can now plug and play at your right guard spot and feel a lot better about your offensive line. You've got 4 of your 5 spots carried or completely filled. So
we've talked about this also. I think this almost assures that the Saints will stick with Ruiz at right guard. So, and we've talked about it before that if you get a David Edwards kind of player at left guard and you're shored up your line, Eric McCoy back at center, you got Banks at left tackle, you got Fuaga at right tackle. Now Ruiz is clearly, I hate to use the word worst, but he's your worst lineman. Can you cover him up a little bit?
We've got numbers on David Edwards. It is a 4-year, $61 million deal.
4 years, $61 million. So what is that? 20 what is that? 25 million
across 4 years. No, you're looking at about
what is that?
15.
No, that's 15. Million. What is that? 25. I can't. I tell you. Don't let me do Shaw math here live. 15.2 million is actually about $4 million a year less than Spot Track was saying his market value was. So that's a pretty good deal that's a very friendly deal for the Saints. Mm-hmm. Adam says Etienne is 27 years old. Age is a concern? No, 27 is fine. Only a few years young. Look, Adam, you're talking about dog years when you're talking about running backs. A few years younger, that's actually 4 years younger. That is a major difference. It's not even close. That's a major difference.
UBN's having some fun with you.
Yeah, I'm ignoring him. He's like trying to get all of his smart ass stuff out of it. He can't help himself this morning. When we're done with the smart ass shit this morning. Go ahead. Before I go off the air, I wanted to call up David Edwards and see some numbers on him.
Don't have Etienne guaranteed. Yeah, I don't know if we'll get that for a little while.
Okay, some numbers on
the Falcons, another notable move.
David Edwards is 6'6", 308. Got a birthday coming up. Gonna be happy birthday. He was born on March 20th, 1997. So David Edwards is about 29 years old. 29. He spent his first 4 seasons with the Rams, spending the last 3 years with the Buffalo Bills. Now, he has missed some time in his career. He missed almost an entire season in 2022 due to injury. And then 2023, he signed with Buffalo but didn't start. It says he was there for 17 games, but then started every game the last 2 years except for one. And I think that was because I think the Bills didn't don't know if the Bills had clinched or whatever, but whatever it was, he's only missed. He started all but one game the last 2 seasons for Buffalo. So there you go. And so basically, always played for a winner. Block
There
from
was any concern.
Josh
Any
Allen.
concern about how the Saints look at Tyler Shuck? I think this tells you everything you need to know.
I agree with you.
All in. And which
Um,
I think is the smart move. When you've got a quarterback on a rookie deal, this is what you have to do. I think this is very good by them.
Nola Man says, let's get more breaking news and keep us streaming until midnight. I don't have it in me.
The Saints don't have the cap space to do that.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much done for the day. So that was one hell of a finish there, Gabe.
Yeah,
I mean, we're about to go off the. If we wouldn't have had our Dat Date segment, we would have gone off the air. I might have had to come back on here. You know. So anyway, great job today with the crawl, and we will have some more information for you when we come back on Wednesday. Last thing here, Lance says David Edwards' PFF grade is the 19th best guard, 14th best in passing, 23rd in run. Yeah, well,
and that's out of how many qualified guards were there? Like 90, 85? 90?
I don't think there were that many. It was in the lower 80s, like 82-ish.
Okay, so somewhere in there. Somewhere in that number, over 80. So that's you're looking at a top 25%
major upgrade.
Yeah,
at guard. And there was no look. We said this before, and I know Zach. We talked about how Zach said he wasn't. The Saints weren't fired up about guard. I didn't believe that for 1 second. Not for 1 second. I figured they were going to go out and get again. And I said it didn't necessarily have to be David Edwards. I'm glad that we put David Edwards on our title slide the other day. We were 1 out of 2. I put Kenneth Walker and David Edwards on there. I should have, if I'd have put Travis Etienne and David Edwards on the title side the other day, man, we would have hit a home run. But I didn't believe for 1 second because I knew that the Saints were going to, whoever the top player was, their grade as far as free agent guards, they were going to go get that guy. And they wasted no time doing it here on this Monday. And like I said, all weekend I've been reading about how David Edwards was pretty much leaving Buffalo, and it's clear that he was probably coming here.
Yeah. I mean, it was whether or not they loved the guard options that they had to do this deal.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with David Edwards, but they had to do this deal. They had to sign a left guard.
Well, they did. And man, a fun show got even more fun there at the end with some interesting breaking news. We'll see what we have on Wednesday. Who knows? Who knows what Wednesday has for us in store? I will see you at 11 a.m. Central Time.
Sounds good. We'll be
All
here.
right. No, now I am really going off the air. I promise you. And again, I'm going to go back, and Gabe sent me chapters, so I'm going to go back and put all the chapters. If you missed any part of the show and you want to go back in, obviously, when we're off the air, you can go back and watch it. It's there. I would say for eternity, but it's going to be there for a while. It's not going anywhere. If you like what you see, we would love for you to subscribe to the show. Again, if you want to just listen to the audio pod only, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and many more. We got I'll find the last couple comments here. He says, they got great. Jimmy, it sure did get great, didn't it? Charles says, that's a first for the Saints to jump off of the first day of free agency so much. I got to be honest. I don't remember the first few hours of free agency being like this for a Saints team. Really. It really was. And then, you know what? I'm going to finish off our show here with our comment from UBN, who says, breaking news that Geno Smith just signed the Chipotle. Do they really want Chipotle? I mean, does Chipotle really want Geno Smith? He might throw a chip to somebody and it's going to end up on the floor. It was a lot of fun, Rock. All right, we are going to let it roll there. Again, I'm going to cut out parts of the show. We're going to have lots to talk about, lots of shorts. I mean, I got to have shorts for days with this show. But so I got some work to do when we go off the air here. We hope you all had a great time on this Monday. I have no idea who our guest is on Wednesday. You know what? It's possible we do a Mono-y Wednesday. I mean, if we think we're going to have a day like Wednesday like we had today, we could just do it by ourselves. But we probably will have a guest. We'll see. We'll see what happens. When I find out, for all the members, I will put the guest. When I find out who it's going to be, I will put the note in the Slack channel. And if you become a member, by the way, you will have access to our Slack channel where you can message with us as we have a lot of fun. All right. We will see you until. So we're going to wrap this up again. A flurry of activity. The last, I'd say, 50 minutes to this show was, I'd say, a little more than 50 minutes. Last hour, the show. It started with Demario Davis, and it kind of went from there. It just got crazy. We had our first segment of Dat Date in history, which we had a lot of fun. If we wouldn't have had that segment, we wouldn't have had the live news on there at the end. So I'm kind of glad we did it. We will have that again on Wednesday when we tell you what what happened back on March 11th, back on whatever date. I don't know. There's something that sticks out in my head, but I can't tell you just yet. So you'll have to wait until Wednesday to find that. And last comment of the day, Kevin Austin, you are 100% right. The Saints just flipped my show upside down. We like it when that happens. We like when breaking news happens. We don't need to be scripted. We'll just go on and tell you whatever happened. So who knows? Maybe we'll have the same kind of show Wednesday. We hope to see you then. Wednesday, live at 11 a.m. Until then, everyone, take it easy, my friends.